What is your name?
My name is Vita Faye Ziegler, and my maiden name was Jordan.
And do you know where your parents came up with your name?
No, I do not. I just think it's something that my mother heard one time and she liked it, so I was the first child of theirs, and so she named me that.
It's a beautiful name.
Vita, and I shortened it to Vita because people didn't know how to spell it most of the time, so I just call myself Vita.
So you're the oldest of how many?
Well, I had one little sister, and I lost her when she was about 22 years old from cystic fibrosis. She had CF.
I'm very sorry. What was her name?
Marjorie Carroll.
That's a pretty name.
Yeah.
What were your parents' names?
My father's name was Orville Jordan, and my mother's name was Blanche Higby Jordan.
Those are really great names. I love Orville. You don't hear that very often.
No.
Where did you grow up?
Well, mostly, let's see. The first few years I lived up in Cataldo, you know.
I'm from Mullen.
Oh,
That's
okay.
where I grew up. I'm a Mullen girl too.
Okay, well, my relatives all went up there. My grandfather Higby and homesteaded up there, up Latour Creek.
Okay.
And so he gave land to all of my aunts and uncles and along the way, and so I had a whole bunch of relatives up the creek with me. And so that's where I was about the first 6 or 7 years.
And then where did you guys move from
And
there?
then my father got on at the Sunshine Mine, and so we moved to Osborne and lived there for a couple of years. And then they were building Grand Coulee Dam about that time, so he went down there and got on with the government to work on the dam, and as a machinist. He was a machinist, and so he worked there, and we moved to a place called Mason City, which was on the one side of the river, and it was kind of a government town. They had a big general store there, and the school and the hospital and everything was right there, and they built houses for everybody, and they were all looked alike. And so anyway, but that was about the nicest house that we'd ever had, so we were very happy to have that, and where it had a lawn and sidewalks and everything, you know, and we hadn't ever had anything quite that nice, so we were happy to move there. And so I went to school there through the 6th grade, and then about that time World War II was going on, and my father and my mother both decided to move to Richmond, California, so they could work in the shipyards down there. And so we moved again, and I went to junior high there, and that's all. Just my junior high years I went there. And we lived in a government building apartment that they had built, big apartment houses, something like the ones that are around here now. And so we lived there, and I met my best friend there. She lived on the other end of the building, and I lived on one end, and she was my age, and so we were very good friends, and all of our lives.
What's her name?
Mildred. She passed away here several years ago, but we were in touch for all of our lives and kept in touch. I consider her my best friend. So
I love that. So how old are you?
I'll be 93 in December.
So you were friends for 80 years?
Oh, a long time.
That
Yes.
is a long
Yeah,
time.
yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. So
Where did you go to high school?
I went to high school in, well, we moved to, after the war, and they closed down the shipyards. We moved to Monterey, California, a beautiful city, and we were going to, my father was going to make a living fishing boat, a commercial, because he loved the water and he loved that kind of thing. So we moved down there, but that was not a good time to move. There was not many fish running, so that didn't work out too well. So anyway, we moved back up to Ritzville, Washington. I had an aunt and uncle there, and so we moved there, and I went to my sophomore year there. And then in my junior year, my father went back to Cooley Dam and got back on with the Bureau, they called it over there, and helped put in the generators in the dam. The dam itself was done, but they had to put all the generators in the houses, and so he went back over there to get a job, and he got one. And he was taking I was going to say an online course, but they didn't have online then. Anyway, he was taking a correspondence course to be an engineer for them, and they called him erection engineer, and he would have had charge of a dam, putting in all of the generators. He would have been the boss there. So he got his license to do that, and so while I was going to school over in Cooley Dam, I met Don. He was from Grand Coulee, which was the town up on the hillside from where I lived, and we were kind of friendly competitors. Our schools were, as in sports and things. But so I went to a dance one night and with my friends, and he was there with his friends. He was going to Eastern Washington College at the time. He just had started his sophomore year, and so we met that night and danced a lot together, and really liked each other, and so that was the start of our romance. And it was wonderful. I fell for him pretty hard, and I think he did too. So anyway, we went together all that year, and then we got engaged at a very young age, and I was at a very young age, and we married when I was 16, and I quit school because I was expecting a baby, and we were happy about that because we wanted to get married, and so we did, and we had our first child, a baby girl named Donita, and she's just the beginning of a wonderful family that we had. And I had 4 babies by the time I was 21. And life wasn't always easy, but we went, he went to Hanford and got a job down there at the nuclear plant that they had in Hanford. And he was making really good wages there, and so we settled down there for a few years, and then we had a chance to come back to Cooley, and so we went back there and lived by our parents. Both of our parents lived there, which was nice. And so I had a flock of babies by that time. And we bought a little house, our first little home that we owned. And we were happy. I had a big garden and I canned a lot of stuff. And I didn't even drive in those days. I was just a mama and a housewife. And so anyway, that was a nice part of our lives. Our parents were there and they were so in love with their grandkids and everything, so I had a lot of support and help with them, and we had a good life. And let's see, where did we go then? We moved a lot, a lot. Let's see. Oh, we came. My uncle had a service station here in Coeur d'Alene that he had owned, and so he asked Don to come up and be his manager at it was a Shell station up on Appleway at that time, and so we moved back here, and we had a big house that was right behind the station that we went with the job, so we moved in there. It didn't have any kind of a kitchen or a bathroom as far as cabinets or anything, so Don's father was a cabinet maker, so he made us cabinets and a really nice kitchen and bathroom and everything. So we had this great big old house. It used to be the bus station for the servicemen out at Farragut is what it was, and it was sitting up on the front of the lot where the service station was. And when they built the station, they moved it back to the back of the lot, and that kind of went with the job. So we lived there for a while, and then we met some nice people here, and we wanted to buy a home here or build a home, and so these friends of ours, Vernon, Thelma, Nelson, had a lot right next to their home out off of Gilbert Avenue. And so they gave us a really good deal on a lot right next to them. So we moved out there and we built a basement and finished the basement, and we lived in the basement for 5 years while we saved enough money to build the top of our house. And we were very comfortable. We had 3 bedrooms down there and a bath, and my kids were going to Bora School then, and they were doing well, and we had a lot of friends, and we got into motorcycling, and we lived at the base of Canfield Mountain out here. So that's where our kids learned to ride motorcycles, and we did too. So that was our weekends. We went on motorcycle trips and went camping a lot, and that was what we did mostly. And also Don was a bowler, and a good bowler, and he bowled a lot. And we made a lot of friends here and lived here for quite a long time. That was in the early 50s and 60s. And then Don went to work for Montgomery Ward at the old store downtown when it was still down off of Sherman. And as working under Mr. Nelson as in the tire and automotive department. And then lo and behold, they were building a mall in our big city. So they moved the Montgomery Ward store up there, and we had a nice new store. And so Don was made the department manager of the building supplies then. And that was a pretty good job. And they hired me as a sign person to make all the signs for the store. And so I had a print shop there in the store, and I had to set type and do all that. You know, they didn't have any of the new kind of thing that they have now. And that was kind of a fun job in a way. And so we got that all done, and then the store was open and running nicely, and so I got offered the job of payroll and personnel at the store, and so I took that, and so I was working full-time. Then my kids were in high school and junior high then, and doing really, really well, all of them. They all had part-time jobs in the summer and working at drive-ins and babysitting, and we always stressed to them that if they wanted extra money, they had to work for it and get out and find a job, and so they did. They all worked and doing something so that they could get the fancy athletic shoes that they wanted, or whatever else they wanted, because we were living pretty close, and so but anyway, we were working on our house after about 5 years. got our new house all built. It was a brick house. And we put 3 bedrooms and a bath, big bathroom upstairs. And so we were doing really well here. At that time, we had a lot of friends and did a lot of camping and biking, and life was good. And then life wasn't so good for a while. We started to have a few problems with our marriage, and so we decided that we had to move and go someplace else. So we did. Dawn transferred down to Portland. Our youngest daughter was in her last year of high school. And I always have regrets that we made her move at that time, but we thought that that was the best thing for us at that time, so we did. And so we moved to Portland and left our beautiful home, which was very hard. And we both went to work down there. Don was at the Montgomery Ward store, and I was at a big store called Whitefront, which was kind of like Shopko or Kmart or something like that. I went to work in the office in the ordering end of it, inventory, and was writing orders there. And our youngest daughter was very unhappy, and she was making life a little difficult for us. So she turned 18 in January, and so she quit school. She didn't want to go to school anymore down there. And so she came back to Coeur d'Alene. She ran away with another girl that was living with us, one of her friends. She had a girlfriend that was living with us at that time. Her name was Laura. And both of her parents were in jail for counterfeiting, so she was sleeping in her car and everything, so my daughter brought her home. So we let her live with us. And so she did. And so her and Gail were kind of acting out, I might say. And so Gail's high school boyfriend came down several times to see her, and he wanted to get married, and so she said that okay, and so they did. They got married. We gave them a small wedding, and they left, so we didn't have any more children at home right at that time, except Laura. She was still with us. And she stayed with us through the end of the year. She went back to school and stayed with us, and we let her use our extra car and bought her clothes and everything so she could go back to school. And one day we came home and she was gone. Had taken just what we'd given her and left. I don't know, with some friends. I don't know what happened to her. I think she just got talked into leaving and took off, you know.
You never heard from her again?
No,
Oh gosh.
never did. And so that was, yeah. But that wasn't, we had, during our married life, we had several orphans, as we called them, come live with us. So she wasn't the only one, but we always hated to see those kids, you know, drifting around, so we would let them come and stay with us a lot of times and go to school. So, but anyway, we stayed there at Portland for a couple, 3 years, and then we got offered a job down at Lake Tahoe. A good friend of ours had lived there with his family, and they lived up on the North Shore at Incline Village, and so they invited us down for a visit, and so we went down and we talked to the people down there. Boise Cascade was building a new condominium development, and so they needed a manager, and so we interviewed for the job, and Dawn got the job. We as a couple got the job, and so we moved to Lake Tahoe, and that was probably the most fun we ever had in our life, living down there. Because we traded in our car. We had a brand new Oldsmobile that we'd bought. We traded in our car for a BMW, a brand new one. And Dawn had always wanted one. And so we figured, well, we got a good job now, and we got a nice place to live, and let's just live it up a little. So we did. We had a brand new condo to live in with everything in it, and it was great. We lived about a block up off the lake, and that was a nice job. That was a fun job. We would go to a lot of shows, and we weren't gamblers, but we would go to the dinner shows and things if there was somebody that we really wanted to see. So we went to a lot of shows, and that was right up my alley because I was always a movie buff, and so anyway, we saw a lot of people there, a lot of celebrities, and everybody came down to visit us. We had more company than we knew what to do with, because everybody knew we lived there, so they wanted to come and spend some time there, you know. And so they would always want to go to a movie or a show or something. So that's what we did. And in those days, it was a dress-up thing. You always, most of the ladies wore long dresses when you went to a dinner show then, and the men wore suits and ties, and it wasn't just like it is now, you know. So it was an occasion when you went, you know. It was nice. So I had several long gowns, and we'd get all dressed up and go out. It was really fun, and we'd take our BMW and drive down to Sacramento sometimes just for dinner if we had a long day, you know, and stuff. And well, we just had fun there. It was just fun. You know, because we had a lot of company and got to do a lot of different things and everything. So then that we were there for quite a long time, and then that job came to an end because the board finally wanted to turn the management over to management company. They thought they could save money that way, and so we lost our job there. So about that time, Montgomery Ward called again, and they wanted Don to come back. So we moved to Sacramento, and he was the department manager down there for the building supplies. And they weren't gonna hire me because I'm family, and I guess that was a rule, but then they had hired me before a lot of times. And so Don said, well, I'll come if you'll give my wife a job too. So they did. They put me in the credit office. And that was a big credit office, huge. And so I worked there for a while. And then about that time, my oldest daughter's husband was ill, very ill, and they didn't know what was wrong with him. They lived in Boise. He was from here, one of the Barlow boys. I don't know if his father was the coach at the high school, Cotton Barlow. And Tom was really sick, and they came down, and we all went to, my son and his wife lived in Modesto, so they came over and we all went to San Francisco for a little trip. They were on their last trip with Tom. He wanted to go down there for some reason. I think that's where they went on their honeymoon or something. And so we went there, and right after he got home, he had gotten so thin that they decided to do an exploratory operation on him to see what was wrong. This was about in 1974 or 5. And they did that and found a huge cancer on his liver, tumor on his liver, and they didn't know what to do with it at that time. So they just told him there was nothing they could do. So he died that Christmas Eve day. He died that year. And so our daughter she had moved back up here to Coeur d'Alene because Tom's family lived here and he wanted to be by his family when he was dying. So she moved him, and they had a little girl, Kimberly, our oldest grandchild. She was about 4. And so after he passed away, Donita couldn't find a good enough job up here to support her and Kimberly, so she moved back to Boise and went to work at a bank down there in the trust department, and she worked there for quite a while and had met a man named Steve Allen, which turned out to be her second husband. After a year or so, they married, and he was wonderful. He was a very nice man. We were happy for her. And they had a beautiful home down there. He was the head of the trust department there. So we in the meantime, we had left California, which we weren't too happy about living in California, and came back up this way when Don Edom had moved back to Coeur d'Alene here. And so we came up here to see if we could help her in any way. And we got a job with Yates Funeral Home, making burial vaults. We've had a lot of different things to happen. And so Don, we had to move to Missoula because Dexter Yates and his family had bought the funeral home over there. And so we moved to Missoula, and Don went to work. He rented a shop and traded in our BMW for a pickup, and bought a cement mixer and all the stuff that he needed, and started building vaults for Mr. Yates over there. And he liked that. He liked it. And I went to work at the funeral home for Dexter. I was the receptionist there and the bookkeeper. And so that was a nice move for us. We bought a mobile home in a nice park just out of town, and it was a really nice one, and I was happy there. And our daughter Gail her and Mike, her husband, had divorced by that time. And so she moved back over to Missoula and stayed with us for a while and worked. And she got the idea that she was gonna go in the Navy. And so we said, good idea. And she, in order to go in the Navy, she had to get her GED. She didn't have it, and I didn't have mine either, so we went together and got our GED together. The only reason I did was just because she wanted me to, and I said, well, what do I need to do that for? Well, just because, why don't you do it? So I did. So we both went to Missoula Votech, where they had it, and so they gave the test was 5 parts. So we went every day before we went to work at our other jobs and took a part of the test, and we both passed the test without taking any classes. So we both got our GED at the same time. And she went in the Navy. And she left and got sent to Florida for boot camp. So she was doing what she wanted to do, although she wrote some pretty sad letters from there, because she'd say, "Why did you let me do this? I hate this. Why did you?" All that kind of stuff, you know. She didn't like the boot camp, but after that, she liked it. She wanted to be a corpsman, so she went up to got sent up to the Great Lakes base and took some more classes up there, and got sent over to Pearl Harbor for her deployment, and worked at the base over there as a corpsman.
Bet she wasn't complaining then.
She did well. She did really well. And she went back to school and got her degree in bookkeeping and stuff, and so she used that, you know, she used that. We had bought the family had bought a property up the Coeur d'Alene River we named it Zig's Digs. And it was 4 acres, and we made a family campground out of it, and we had that for 21 years up there, and enjoyed the summers so much up there. After we were retired, and we were the maintenance people and the caretakers. Don and I, we would take our trailer up and park it early in the spring, and go up there and stay most of the summer. And we had lawn to take care of, and we planted flowers, and we had it looking really nice, and the kids would all come on the weekends and stuff, and it was a great spot. Everybody loved it, so that was our little getaway place. And it was up by Pritchard. I know you know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
And on Beaver Creek, and it was a great place. And so that's where we would spend our summers, up there with our family, and a lot of our friends would come up, and we had karaoke parties up there quite a bit, and had a lot of fun. And on some of the cruises they had karaoke contests and stuff, and I got to enter some of those and came out okay on some of those, and it was fun. And I used to sing at the Pritchard Tavern and the Bedroom Mine up there, and the what's the other one?
Murray.
Yeah, at Murray, and so almost every weekend, if we were up there, we'd look around and see who was having karaoke, so we could go sing.
What was your favorite song to sing?
Oh gee, I used to sing quite a bit of Patsy Cline. I like that, and I like kind of the country western songs I like, and a lot of others too. I don't know, I like a lot of different kinds of music, so.
Would you sing me a little song?
Oh.
Just a little bit.
I don't sing anymore because
Oh.
I've lost my voice. I don't sing. I used to sing here even.
Did you?
Before I moved in here, we moved in here. I came here and sang with a friend of mine, Phil Hodges from Pinehurst. You know Phil?
I think I was here at some time when you guys were singing because
Yeah.
I've worked in healthcare for about 25 years now.
Oh, did
so
you
yeah,
really?
I think I've heard you sing.
Oh, maybe you have.
How long ago did Don pass away?
Last October.
Oh gosh, so
Yes.
how long were you married?
75 years.
75 years.
75, yes. We just made 75 when he passed away. In August, he kept saying, our anniversary was in September, and he kept saying to me, last August, a year ago August, he kept saying, I'm not going to make the party, honey, because the kids were having a huge party for us. And I said, why do you say that? And he said, I just think I'm dying now. And I kept saying, no, you're not. No, you're not, honey, you're not. And I just didn't like him to say that, and I really didn't think he was. And but he just kept going downhill and downhill, and just before the party, he said to me, what do you want me to wear? And I said, well, I'll find you something that's really comfortable, honey. I said, you don't have to wear a necktie or anything like that. I said, we'll find you something comfortable. And so we did. We went to the party, and it was a super party. We had probably 70 people or more there. And our old friends and all the family came from everywhere, clear across the country. And so he just had a great time. He acted like he was not sick at all. He had one drink and just was talking away with his old friends, and it seems like we've got a lot of pictures, and he was smiling and just having a good time. And I